So what is DBT, Dialectical Behavior Therapy? In this video, I will be going over what is DBT, who is it for, and where to look for DBT treatment. Thanks for joining me. My name is Musard Yusuf Ali. I'm so glad you're here to learn about DBT today. I hope you'll stick around till the end, where I will be sharing a bonus with you, and please give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you find this and other of my videos helpful. So let's get started. What is dialectical behavior therapy? So dialectical behavior therapy is a type of therapy that was founded by Marsha Linehan. Marsha Linehan is a psychologist that was working with highly suicidal patients and clients. And she is a researcher, and she loves to study and really ask the question of what is going to be helpful. Now, when she began this 30-40 years ago, she was in a time period where there was a high emphasis on a type of therapy called CBT, cognitive behavior therapy. And so she would be using CBT on some of her clients, and that would backfire on her. They would tell her, "You're asking me to change myself, and that makes me hate myself. That makes me feel like there's something wrong with me." So CBT was a change-based model because it said, change your thoughts, and solve your problems. So the clients that she was working with that were highly suicidal and had intense emotions didn't like being told, change yourself. They felt that they were not good enough. And to be told that you're not good enough doesn't feel good. So then she would try something a little bit different, the opposite of that, which is acceptance-based model. There is actually a type of therapy called acceptance-based therapy. And so she would use acceptance-based model on them and say, okay, well, accept yourself for who you are. Well, that also would backfire because they were really struggling. They really were unhappy with their lives. They wanted to kill themselves. They wanted to die because they were unhappy with the way their lives were. So telling them, accept yourself, accept your life, that also didn't feel good to them. So she curated what ended up becoming and is known today as dialectical behavior therapy. What she did is she married the two. She married the acceptance and change-based modalities, and she created a dialectical therapy in the sense that one of the most foundations within dialectical behavior therapy, and it is my favorite skill, is this idea of holding two opposites at the same time. That means two opposites can be both true at the same time. Now, as Muslims, I have been exposed to this idea all the time. If you look at the names of Allah, you can see the dualities in these names. If you look at the Quran, there are so many statements and ayahs in the Quran that can feel conflicting. However, they are not conflicting. Both of those can be true at the same time. So when I heard of the idea of dialectical behavior therapy, it really resonated with me and it hit my heart because I was already familiar with this concept within my religion of Islam and within my faith. So DBT is, again, the marrying of acceptance and change base. So what this means is within this therapy, one of the teachings that comes is that you want to accept yourself for who you are. I am good. I am amazing. God is my creator. I am a creature of, Allah's mercy. I am an amazing being. And even if you don't believe in God and you are maybe a non-Muslim visiting my channel, well, you can still, of course, the universe has, this beautiful universe has created you. And here you are, an amazing being. And you can also embrace that I can be better. As Muslims, we are working towards reforming our soul, reforming our nafs, and becoming better Muslims so that we can be more like the Prophet, so we can be closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Same thing. We are human beings, and we are not perfect human beings. So even if you are a non-believer, you can say to yourself that I am good and I can be better. I have amazing qualities about myself, and I can also make myself a better person. So the foundation of DBT, or one of the core teachings within DBT, is this idea of dialectics. Two things that might feel opposite can both be true at the same time. The idea of living with dualities, which again is congruent with what we know, many teachings within Islam, and this idea of acceptance and change. Now, within the dialectical behavior therapy, there are certain skills that you must learn. So something different that came with DBT that was a little bit different from earlier talk therapy is that in DBT, to be effective with this model, you want to learn certain skills. And Marsha Linehan's theory was that, or what she noticed and observed, is that many of us are not born with skills, or we are born into families and environments that don't know how to teach us and how to help us cope with the world and with intense emotions. Some individuals are born with sensitive nervous systems, and other individuals have a hardier, more resilient nervous system, meaning that they can be like dandelions. Dandelions, as many as you pull them out, another one will come up, right? Whereas a sensitive nervous system needs a certain environment for it to flourish, like orchids. My orchid is always dying. I'm trying to learn how to keep it alive, and really struggling with keeping those orchids alive and beautiful and flourishing. So an orchid, beautiful, amazing, and needs a certain kind of temperament and nurturance that they don't end up getting. And so something that is formed internally within them is this feeling of extreme invalidation, and then they end up having a hard time regulating their emotions. So the environment doesn't know how to help them, they don't know how to help themselves, they have a sensitive nervous system, and that becomes really hard for them. And so that's why she was working with these highly suicidal women that really felt an extreme amount of invalidation, and they didn't have the skills on how to cope with day-to-day life situations, because life is packed with struggles. Of course, life is wonderful and beautiful, and there are also struggles as well. So she came up with certain skills that she then began teaching to her clients. And after she began teaching these skills to her clients, and her clients started using them, that's when they started to notice, oh, now I feel better. Now I can love life. I can flourish in life, and I don't have to think about death and suicide as a way out of my unhappy life. And so these skills are core and central to the DBT treatment. There are now 5 modules. The 5th one was kind of added later. I like to add it along, even though it's not part of the 4. So the 5 that I will mention are: 1 is something called mindfulness and learning mindfulness skills. Now, she did a lot of training within the Buddhism meditation modalities, and she brought a lot of those teachings into DBT. So I call it the umbrella, one of the umbrellas of DBT skills is learning mindfulness. Another one is interpersonal relationship skills. So people with intense emotion regulation have a hard time regulating their emotions, and they can have a hard time relating to others interpersonally. So DBT teaches interpersonal skills. How do we talk with our peers, our family members, and the world, and how to navigate relationships? Another one is emotion regulation skills. So emotion regulation skills are those psychological skills that we need to regulate our emotions on a day-to-day basis. When I get up and I go to work and my boss tells me something, negative, or let's say critical, how do I cope with that? And how do I regulate my emotions instead of, let's say, becoming extremely angry, or maybe falling into tears and into a heap and not being able to work the rest of the day? So that's emotion regulation skills. Then there is a module on distress tolerance skills. Distress tolerance skills are skills that you want to use when when there is a crisis and there is a situation that brings intense emotions. These are not day-to-day situations, but these are more unique crisis-oriented situations that you need to learn and cope with. These are those perhaps once in a lifetime situations, or they may happen more frequently, but again, they are not happening day to day. It could be death of a family member. It could be a traumatic event. It could be loss of a job. It could be loss of a relationship. So something that, feels like a crisis to the person, and learning the skills on how to deal with crisis, because we know that Allah will give us challenges and Allah will give us tests. And so how do we deal with those? And guess what? One of the things that Marsha Linehan includes is prayer, the importance of prayer. She is a devout Christian. At least this is earlier she was. I think she still is. So she incorporates a lot of religion and faith in her teachings. She also has non-faith-based tools. They're not all faith-based tools. However, that is, again, one more thing that I really liked and enjoyed about DBT is this, emphasis on prayer. And one of the skills that she particularly mentions is prayer. And then the fifth module, which, began with teens, is behavior change. So in this module, you will learn how do behaviors work and how can we help to change our behaviors. Now, I think this is very much similar to the, in the psychology world, the habit psychology. How do we keep and maintain habits? This is the how to be a better person when it comes to our rhythms and our routines and daily habits that we have. So I feel it's a little bit similar to that. And again, the idea is understanding behavior, understanding how can we change our behaviors, because we get into patterns and we might repeat behaviors that we don't want to. Now, something else that I want to share within DBT, Dialectical Behavior Therapy, is that you will have two major components within the therapy. A major component is doing individual DBT therapy, where you sit down with a therapist and each session you're looking at your past week and you're asking yourself, where did I engage in ineffective behaviors? And then you're also going to a component of skills learning. Now, one way to do that is via group skills training. Now we have the world of the internet, and so many of the clinicians have put out classes online, so you can attend group skills learning online that is live, or you can learn on-demand DBT classes. And so I also have my own program, Dialectical Behavior Therapy on-demand classes that you can check out. So you will be engaging in learning the skills. You will be engaging in individual therapy, exploring how you can make those personal changes and adaptations in your work, and you will be doing those two things simultaneously. Research has shown that if you do skills training for 1 year, and then you will see a great amount of transformation. Okay, so it's really important that you do at a minimum 1 year of DBT therapy. You might need more than 1 year of DBT therapy. Another thing that I want to mention within DBT is that some individuals who have intense emotions and high dysregulation will engage in medication and treatment for their support. And so then you will have the third component, which is your medical psychiatrist team, and you want them to be talking with your therapist as well as your group skills therapist to make sure that everyone is on the same page, helping you the best way that they can, so that everyone is aligned with your goals in your healing. A fourth component that is very, very important in dialectical behavior therapy is that at least one family member has to be engaged in DBT therapy with you. Now, that could be participating in the DBT skills group, or on the side, they could be learning about DBT skills and using those with you, or they could be having their own family therapist that is helping them understand your emotion dysregulation and understanding how your emotion dysregulation shows up in your life and in your interactions. And hopefully they will be using and utilizing those DBT skills in helping you. And then you have, you're not alone. Again, you have a team of everyone helping you. So the skills are really more effective if you have at least one family member. If you have more family members, that's even better. If your whole family engages in learning the DBT skills and then using them as a family, that makes the treatment outcome even more effective. Now, where to find dialectical behavior therapy? So dialectical behavior therapy has grown in popularity. So really, you can find a DBT therapist anywhere and everywhere that you go. I'm not sure how many Muslim DBT therapists there are. However, I do know there are Muslim DBT therapists out there. If you are looking again for a DBT school skills program, you can check out the program that I have. If you are living in one of the states that I am licensed in, I am happy to work with you if you want to set up a consultation with me to see if I would be a good fit for you. And then you can look on the Muslim directories and see who does specialty on DBT. A lot of these directories, you can select the specializations and you can put in, I want to have a DBT therapist. And so you can, click on that specialty and then you'll get a name and a list of DBT therapists. DBT is very helpful for anyone that has been diagnosed with borderline personality disorder. Borderline personality disorder is a diagnosis that some people have, and I will cover that in a separate video just because I don't want to make this video very large and long, and I want to just talk about DBT here. But DBT has been found to be very, very helpful for anyone that has a diagnosis of BPD. Now, I personally like dialectical behavior therapy for teens and young adults because when you are growing up, you might not be living in an environment where you're being taught these skills. So I love using DBT therapy with high school teenagers and with young adults because, again, I can teach them these skills that they can use for the rest of their life. And these skills are so helpful even for people that don't have intense emotion dysregulation. However, teens, can be a little bit more impulsive, and so teens in general, I think, can really benefit from dialectical behavior therapy. If you are somebody that has intense emotions, then dialectical behavior therapy can be very helpful for you. Other areas that DBT is very helpful for is people that engage in ineffective behaviors like cutting, people who have constant thoughts of suicidal thoughts or actions and behaviors, people that have intense anger. So I have had people that have encountered law enforcement in one form or another take my course, and it's helpful for them to learn how to manage their angry outbursts and those behaviors that get them into trouble. And things like eating disorder, if you have behaviors of eating disorder, DBT is very helpful for that. Picking kind of behaviors, DBT can be very helpful for that. So all behaviors that are ineffective or that lead to self-destruction. There's also something called SUDS for DBT, substance use disorder, and so this is a specialized type of DBT for people that have substance abuse issues. So these are all the types of people that DBT can be helpful for. Now, as a bonus, I want to share with you a little brief mini DBT course that I have. It's on my website. You can go and subscribe to it, and you will get 5 videos about DBT and about each little skill that you can check out and get an idea of what it's like to engage in DBT therapy. I hope that you found this video helpful and useful. Give me a thumbs up, and please subscribe to my channel. Please share this video with your Muslim friends, families, and buddies. I look forward to seeing you in another video. Thank you, and have a great, amazing rest of the day.